So you're Tyrone Crittendon.
Right.
And when were you born and who were your parents?
I'm born right in Ozark, April 4th, 1948. Mary and Harvey Crittendon are my parents.
Harvey Crittendon. And okay, now I saw something on the record. Do you know who your grandfather is, who his daddy was?
I don't know nobody on my father's side.
I think I know who he was.
Yeah.
I think his name was Cincinnati Crittendon.
Say that again?
Cincinnati Crittendon. Or is he? Because, well, let me tell you how our tree works. My grandmother, her father's name was Levi.
Right.
He had 15 or 16 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
Levi's dad, his name was Richard Crittendon. He had about 10 brothers and sisters. And his father's name was Frank and Dicey. Now, Frank and Dicey, they lived in Daleville.
Right.
Daleville?
Yeah. I live around Manhattan. Manhattan and Daleville, the same thing.
Okay, well, you know, there was 12 pioneers, Crittendon, black guys. 12 came from Georgia. In 1860, they came with this old white man, and they had slave houses in Georgia. And so in 1866, after the war, there was 12 families who took on the name Crittendon. And one of them was Frank.
Okay.
Frank Crittendon then had a wife named Dicey. The first child was Richard, which was the father of Levi, which is the father of Louise. Now, Richard and Dicey had about 12 kids. But I think when Richard got married to Elvira in 1889, he left Daleville and went up to Ozark and left the rest of the family. So that's kind of how come the communication. Because that was really Daleville was more country than Ozark.
Right.
Well, what happened was he homesteaded 80 acres. It's now over by the golf course on Fort Rucker.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I know about that, yeah.
When did you find out about that?
I've been knowing about that since I was 9.
No! Who told you that?
That's my daddy.
What did he tell you?
Him daddy's uncle. Daddy didn't have property out there. Uncle Amby. So they took it. So they took the property.
Who took it?
I guess the government or the people.
So who told you? Your daddy told you that, Harvey? He said daddy had the property?
Yeah.
You are the first person in the family. I've got all the records. We had a judge speak at our reunion on the weekend.
Man, but yeah, I knew him.
For family history records, you want to get 2 documents, but you also want oral history to confirm it. You have just given me the confirmation that I needed. Nobody else knew about it because, see, our side of the family didn't really know much about that side. So your daddy Harvey said his daddy had the land. It's now.
Uncle Amby had a farm out there. They took that from him. They beat him and I'm kind of sure it's something.
Where's your daddy's buried out there somewhere, isn't it? Where's your daddy buried?
My daddy over there traveling rest.
And what about Ammon? Where's he buried?
I don't know. My sister could tell you that.
Oh, your sisters?
You know, I ain't got one sister alive. She out in Colorado. But May could tell you.
What's her name?
May.
And May? Who did she marry?
Bob.
Bob?
Bob.
Wow. So, because no one knew. Because I was out there. I'm going to go back out there today. I left my diary out there at the museum. But the property was 80 acres. You know how they say blacks were supposed to get 40 acres in a mule? Well, our grandfather said, I don't want the mule. Give me 40 more acres. So he got 80 acres of land.
Okay.
And then what happened was they bought all that property up during the Depression.
Okay.
The P River Society, the Historical Society. And then they made Camp Rucker.
Yeah.
And then it became Fort Rucker.
Right.
Wow. So your father, Harvey was your father, and he said that his daddy owned that land. Now I believe either your daddy, if he was born in 1917.
I think Papa was born in 1903, something like that.
1903. So that means Frank, yeah, so, okay.
Oh, new recollection now, you know.
About 1903.
Yeah. So,
yeah, because Frank didn't die, that means Frank was probably your dad, your grandfather. Because, see, he didn't die until like 1915, 17.
Go ahead, I get it.
This is your father's?
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to have his picture. I'm going to take this picture. Now, Brendel, remember I told you about the 88? He said, yep, he said his father said his daddy owned that land. That's the first person I ever knew about that. He said Harvey, he said his grandfather, his daddy told him that his daddy, they took the land. Wow. So this is, what I'm going to do is CD for everybody. I done made myself another project on that I have record of right now, because the bloodline, because Frank had about maybe 10 kids, and then if your father was one of, because then there was Richard was one of them. Of course, Richard's dead. Your father is dead, and now our branch, Louise, was the old. She was the Merle's still living, but you, what year were you born?
48.
Okay, so yeah, you're younger, but in terms of that side, can I get your phone number? What's your phone number?
334-237-0301.
0301. And your sister lives out in Colorado Springs, and her name is May Box.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Your dad was raised by one of his uncles. So your dad was raised by Uncle Ammon?
I didn't know his mom, and his mom had him. She just lived with his uncle. So I never did get a chance to know too many people. On my father's side,
your mom just left?
Yeah. I knew he had a brother. He had a half brother named Charlie Knight.
Oh my gosh!
I remember that. I remember him.
No, you don't. It's on the records. I got the. Ooh, you give me goosebumps, because you know what? It's on the census. Yeah. Frank Crittendon. I'm like, who is Charlie Knight? Why is Charlie Knight in the house with them?
Yeah.
So Charlie Knight is. Who was he to your dad?
My brother. My dad's half brother.
Because I said, where's the mother?
Yeah, I can't tell.
Wow. So your dad was raised by his brother, his uncle,
yeah.
Uncle Ammon.
Yeah. Ammon.
Yeah, Ammon. So on the census, they were in the house. Okay, at 1 year there was in the house Charlie Knight. There was a
he had a daughter named Charlie May Knight.
Charlie May? It was a lady.
Yeah. She was Baltimore. Did
you know?
I went to Baltimore. Maybe she got buried.
Did you know Allie Crittendon? It might have been. They get the name confused. Ammon or Allie? Maybe Allie. Do you know Etta Flowers?
Where she live?
She was here. She married Fletcher Flowers. Etta Crittendon, which would have been his aunt or his sister. Harvey's. Do you remember Etta? She married a guy named Fletcher Flowers.
I heard that name before.
Yeah, she married Fletcher Flowers. So Charlie Knight was your dad's half brother. So that half brother means they had different parents.
Right. I don't know which way it went. Mom and dad, somehow, you know what I'm saying. Maybe it was dad. I have to say mama, because he wasn't the name Knight. He didn't go to the name Crittendon.
So the mother left.
I don't know.
So the mother ran off. And
they never did know what mama said. Well, she had
so what happened to your dad? His dad?
Huh?
What happened to his father?
No. Never couldn't tell me nothing about that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why. I have Harvey Crittendon in the census. He was in the house with Cincy. So that was Cincy. Cincy is one of the.
May is way more in depth. My younger sister. She know more in detail.
Oh, great.
Like I said, May can.
So May got who? I'll get a hold of May. Thank you very much.
No, I'll give you her number.
Oh, what's her number? Because see, you're confirming all the other stuff that nobody on our side knew.
chicken over there?
Got that?
719
510
510
8529.
8529.
That's a sell you. Hold on, I'll give you your home number in a minute.
And this is for May.
Yeah, my sister.
Crittendon Bob.
Yeah. $597-3066.
719-597-3066.
3066.
Thank you so very much.
Want the address? I give you
Sure,
that.
you got the address. Great.
2022 WOLD Avenue, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 8099.